The House comes to questions for oral answer. Question number 1. Point of order, Ron Mark.
I seek leave to move a motion without notice and without debate to commemorate the 75th anniversary of the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor, which falls today.
Leave is sought for that course of action. Is there any objection? There is objection. Question number 1, in the name of Andrew Little.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Finance. Does he stand by his statement? Quotes. Sorry. John, it's all over.
Order.
It's all over, brother.
Order. Again, as I said yesterday, I can sense the excitement in the air, but we will still conduct question time under the normal rules. Andrew Little.
It's not the excitement, it's the relief on the face of the Prime Minister.
Order will have the question.
Mr. Speaker, question to the Minister of Finance. Does he stand by his statement, quotes, there is no room for significant loosening of the purse strings, end quotes, and does this apply to funding for health, police and education?
The Honourable Bill English.
Mr. Speaker, yes. That comment was made in 2014 before a return to surpluses, but it holds true today as it did then. The government is not in the habit of spending surpluses before we have them, but now that we do have surpluses, some of them will be used up on funding the Kaikoura earthquake recovery, and whatever other surpluses there are, we will use responsibly to make a difference to the lives of New Zealanders.
Supplementary.
Order. 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 I won't put up with that behaviour again from New Zealand First members. Supplementary question, Andrew Little.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Which is more important to him, more tax cuts or fixing public services like health, education and police?
Good question.
The Honourable
Well, Mr. Speaker, both are important because we need to reward hard-working New Zealanders and we need to make sure that the billions we spend in health and education actually change lives and make a difference for New Zealanders, that we're not just shoveling money out because it sounds good to spend on education like the Labor Party do.
Supplementary.
Order. Supplementary question, Andrew Little.
Can he confirm Judith Collins' claim that she has been requesting money for more police since June, and if so, why has he rejected her?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr. Speaker, all propositions made by ministers for the expenditure of significant public money, which we only have because people pay GST on their shopping at the supermarket, all of those propositions have to go through a thorough process, and sometimes ministers find it a little bit irritating.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Andrew Little.
Why has crime been surging in the last few years? Is it because he hasn't been funding enough police, or because Judith Collins just isn't a very good police minister?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr. Speaker, there's, I think, quite a serious discussion actually to go on about what has changed about the trajectory of crime rates. It does look as if the lower tolerance for family violence is a big part of more arrests and convictions for those serious crimes. The better investigation of serious sexual crime leading to more arrests and convictions, and the clutch of criminal activity that goes with methamphetamine. We're digging pretty hard into why those numbers have been rising.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Andrew Little.
When New Zealanders like 96-year-old Trixie Cottingham are having their home care cut by underfunded DHBs, does he take responsibility for that as Finance Minister?
The Honourable Bill English.
Mr. Speaker, no, because that member will know that DHBs have considerable attitude as to how they use their money. And as the Minister of Health has pointed out, I think this year they got around $600 million more to meet the growing demand for health services. But when we put more money in, we want to make sure that it makes a difference. We don't just shovel it in because it's good to spend on health.
Oh no, Jonathan will do better than that.
Order. Supplementary question, Andrew Little.
Does he agree with Jonathan Coleman that, quotes, before we look at tax cuts, we've got to make sure we're properly funding health? And if so, why isn't health being funded properly already?
Well, Mr.
The
Speaker,
Honourable Bill English.
the Minister has been a strong and persistent advocate for not just for more spending in health, but he's been an advocate for things like the bowel screening program, for instance, which should save the lives of hundreds of New Zealanders, and has overseen a program where improved emergency room performance has halved the death rate over the last 5 years, and that's a pretty impressive achievement.
Supplementary.
Order.
You should be leader then.
Order. A little less interjection from my left. Andrew Little, supplementary question.
Given his statement, quotes, no ifs, no buts, and no fighting in school communities over whether to have it, everyone is going bulk funding, how quickly does he think he can resurrect that policy?
And so far as there's financial ministerial responsibility, the Honourable Bill
Mr.
English.
Speaker, I'm not sure what the member's referring to, but the Minister of Education has recently had a discussion with the education sector about a review of the funding system, made some decisions about what to not proceed with, and is proceeding with the other 5 or 6 aspects that she proposed, and that's the government position.